My favourite thing about using the microphone was it made my teacher's voice clearer, and I could understand it better, and it was quite fun as well.
It's loud enough to hear, the teacher when you're sitting at the back table.
My favourite part when using the microphone is because I get to use it and talk to the whole class with it in front of me.
My favourite thing about the microphone is that it's a better way of the teacher having to speak loudly and it can hurt your ears, but with this microphone it's like staying the same volume, you don't realise it's louder.
When I used to be in year 4, we never used to have the microphone, so I couldn't really hear the teacher properly, so I had to go up and ask her. But then now I'm in year 5 and they've got the microphones and now I can hear properly from them.
If I'm writing on the whiteboard, particularly when I've got my back to the class, but I'm maybe explaining, I want them to write this in their books. If I'm not wearing it, they'll say, "Miss, can you put the microphone on because I can't hear you quite so clearly." So they will say, in which case I'll think, "Oh yeah, go and get it, put it on," and the problems stop.
When the teacher's turned back to the board, then we can still hear her, because normally when she turns back, it's like we can really hear a quiet voice.
We've got several teachers who either have very soft voices or who have problems with their voice at certain times of the year. And 2 of those we used in the first study, and they actually, it helped their voices a great deal, and they commented on that, the children have commented on that, and they felt more relaxed, they had less strain, which is a great sort of danger in teaching, that people strain their voices.
You're not using your vocal cords so much, so you're not getting very tired and very thirsty, because of course you're straining your voice all the time. Whereas because your sort of voice level is at a moderate level, you find you're not so drained, you're not so tired, lethargic at the end of the day.
It affects the time you could be having off for illness if you did have a cold and you're making yourself worse, so it does impact time off that you might need.
Once you get used to the idea that you don't have to raise your voice, you can speak at normal volume and they can hear you. It's really quite relaxing, it does make a difference.
The microphone is really good for our teacher because when she has any throat pain or something, she doesn't really have to shout to make us hear. She can just use the microphone so we can hear loudly and clear.
I've found it has impacted on behaviour in the classrooms where it's been used. The working atmosphere has been better, the children have responded better, there's been less sort of low-level disruption. So I've been very impressed with it.
It's something that no teacher wants to do, shout, but we just end up doing it. It's a natural thing to do. But with these, you don't have to shout. Very simple.
When we don't have the microphones, the children talk over the teacher while they're talking, and you can't understand what the teacher is saying by that.
When she says working partners, and if she says stop, you can't hear them because you're still talking without the microphone, and when you're using the microphone you can hear her say stop.
Teacher, sometimes when they're talking, they have to stop and wait for the class to be quiet. But when you're just really talking loud and with the microphone, it's really, really loud, so they can really hear that just be quiet. So it's the discipline type. So it's half of the time the teacher has to stop the class from stop talking, and half of the lesson's already gone. But now it's just like 3 minutes of talking, and then we'll be quiet.
I suppose the best feedback was the first group of teachers who actually didn't want to give up their sound systems to let other people have a go.
I don't really want to go back to not using them, to be perfectly honest. It saved my voice. I'm not losing my voice as much as I was.
The time that you'd spend energy wasting on other things like shouting, you can use that energy on walking around the class and just having, sometimes you just, if you want to have some fun with the kids, come up and they want to use it and they just take it off and say, okay, why don't you speak into it?
The clarity is really important, particularly literacy, and I think particularly we have a lot of EAL children with English as a second language, and a lot of children at early stages of acquisition of English. And I think the programmes we run, there's a synthetic phonics programme, and I think using the microphones has really helped those programmes, and the children have picked up greater clarity and that's helped a lot.
The microphone enables the children to hear the difference between sounds that may be very close. It works well in a small room because the children who are in that room are all children who are EAL, who've got English as an additional language, who speak another language as their home language, and they need to hear the clear phonetic sounds, and some sounds are very close together, and once they've learnt something that's actually not the right sound, it's very difficult to unlearn it and start again. So if they hear it right to begin with, then they will actually know that the middle sound is a, rather than writing e or I. It's made my life a lot easier, and it's enabled the children to actually pick up the 44 sounds that they need to be able to read with a lot quicker.
I could hear much better because I could hear the teacher much clearer. When we're reading together, Miss could understand what we're reading, and we could understand what Miss is reading.
On the last audit, we've got 46 languages in the school. We just added sign into it, but that was the 46th. But 46 languages, and a lot of children who arrive with no English at all. So the initial interventions we do and the programs we do, it's really important that there is clarity with what they can hear, and this certainly has supported that.
It's just one of those things that if everyone's listening and it's quiet and they're engaged, and it's a logical thing to just kind of reason that it is going to help them and it is helping them.
Overall, I don't really want to give it back, to be honest.
Why would you ignore something that makes it easier? It does the biggest impact it has, I think, is on your voice. Your voice is not strained or tired.
Absolutely.
Anything like as much as it was. It just helps. It's just a positive thing.
And teachers, one thing because I just came out of my training last year, we didn't have a single session on how to look after your voice. And this has really made me realise that it's really, really important.
The good thing is it's really nice and loud. But the bad thing is not all of the classes gets to use it, so it's a bit too, feel sorry for them.
When I first got the microphone, I was really shy, and when I used it, then I got really confidence in myself, and then I started to speak more louder.
It's really good. I just like it.
I think it's very good because there are lots of people in our class that have quiet voices. So then when they are using the microphone, everyone else can hear them and they feel confident with it.
I think just listening to the children and their response and the feedback they've been given, there's no doubt about it that, there's a lot of time wasted in teaching, not because teachers are poor teachers or can't cope with behaviour management, but because of low-level disruption. And I think children miss a lot of initial instructions, or a number of children miss key instructions, and so the teacher's repeating and wasting a lot of the teaching time. So I would hope that children are understanding instructions better, teachers spending less time on giving instructions and more time to actually support the children. And I think the benefits could be quite far-reaching in terms of achievement over a long period of time.
If the deal's okay, when you'll be giving the microphones to all of the classes.